Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really mind-bending idea from a research report called Earth as a Biological Spacecraft. It asks us to basically reconsider everything we think we know about the ground beneath our feet. Because that ground, well, it's moving incredibly fast.
So let's just start with a hard scientific fact. Right now, as you're watching this, our entire solar system is hurtling through the Milky Way galaxy at a staggering 540,000 miles per hour. I mean, that's a speed that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. And the craziest part is, we don't feel a thing. But it is the fundamental reality of where we are.
You know, this reality of constant, insane speed, it sets the stage for our first big idea. What if we stopped thinking about Earth as just a static planet and start seeing it as a kind of vessel on a grand cosmic journey? And if it is a journey, well, where exactly are we all headed? Okay, so let's break down the science behind this incredible trip we're on. Because it's not just one simple movement, it's more like a whole symphony of motions all happening at once. See, our planet's path through space isn't just a straight line. It's this incredibly complex dance. We're spinning on our axis every day, right? But we're also orbiting the sun every year. And all of that is happening while our whole solar system circles the center of the galaxy, which is itself moving as the entire universe expands. We are just in constant perpetual motion. Now, what's really wild is when you look at the difference in scale here. We think of a year as one trip around the sun. That makes sense to us. But it takes our planet about 230 million years to make just one single trip around the galaxy, a single galactic year. It's this absolutely immense timescale that really cracks the door open for the radical idea we're about to get into. So, with this scientific reality that Earth is basically a vessel moving through space, we can now look at a really radical reinterpretation of what our planet is and maybe what we are too.
The report that proposes this hypothesis is trying to address this deep disconnect we all feel. I mean, we have all this incredible technology, but we're still grappling with these huge, basic questions about our purpose. This idea suggests that, well, maybe the answer isn't in what we're going to create, but in understanding what our world already is.
So, the core problem this idea is trying to solve is the whole fine-tuning thing. You know, how everything from our atmosphere to our distance from the sun seems perfectly, almost impossibly calibrated for life. The Goldilocks scenario, right? Not too hot, not too cold. Is that just a massive cosmic coincidence? Or does it, maybe, hint at something a little more deliberate? All right, so let's dig into that. Let's see how this hypothesis re-examines the Earth's systems we know so well and recast them as potentially engineered features of a giant ship. Okay, take our atmosphere. From this new perspective, it's not just some random layer of gas that happened to form over billions of years. No, it's seen as an engineered shield, a sophisticated life support system that was designed to maintain breathable air, to regulate the temperature, and to protect all of its passengers from deadly cosmic radiation. And it doesn't stop with the air. The water cycle gets reimagined as this incredibly meticulous, closed-loop purification and distribution system. And the entire biosphere, that whole intricate, beautiful web of life, it's viewed not as a product of random chance, but as a deliberately designed, resilient, and self-repairing ecosystem built for the long haul. Now, it is absolutely crucial to point out that while this is a fascinating thought experiment, it runs into some pretty big scientific hurdles. For one, it's not falsifiable. You can't really design an experiment to prove it wrong. It also kind of violates a principle called Occam's razor, which basically says the simplest explanation is usually the best one. And there are other ideas like the anthropic principle, which offer less exotic answers. That one basically says, well, of course the universe looks perfectly tuned for us. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be here to observe it in the first place.
But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we are passengers on this biological spacecraft. The hypothesis then has to ask a really big question. Why doesn't anyone remember boarding? This concept, cosmic amnesia, suggests that our universal, unending search for meaning, that deep feeling of why are we here, isn't just a philosophical quirk. It might actually be a symptom. It's the ache of a species that has forgotten something profoundly important about who we are, where we came from, and where we're supposed to be going. So how could this have happened? Well, the source explores a couple of speculative ideas. One is directed panspermia, the idea that life was intentionally delivered to Earth by some advanced civilization. Another is the precursor civilization theory, that some incredibly ancient, long-forgotten society, maybe from here or maybe not, placed us on this planet for reasons we just can't remember. This hypothesis even pulls from psychology. It points to Carl Jung's idea of a collective unconscious. You know how myths and legends from every single culture around the world seem to share the same basic characters and stories, like a creator god or a hero's journey? Well, this idea suggests those aren't just stories. They're echoes, distorted memories of our original purpose, bubbling up from the depths of a shared, forgotten past.
And that brings us to the most profound and, honestly, the most unsettling implications of this entire hypothesis. What about the destination?
Think about it. A forgotten purpose implies someone who gave us that purpose. A designed vessel implies a designer. This idea inherently points to some kind of other, an architect, a custodian, maybe a flight crew whose existence is completely unknown to the passengers. It's like we're all adrift on a ship being piloted by a ghost crew.
And what about our own relentless drive as a species? To explore, to learn, to push every boundary we find. Is that just a choice? Or could it be a subconscious echo of an original, forgotten directive? Maybe we're not actually exploring. Maybe we're searching, trying to remember the mission briefing we lost eons ago.
And this leaves us with a final, really provocative question. Is all of our progress as a civilization, our science, our art, our philosophy, is it really about creating something new? Or could it be that we're actually slowly recovering a memory? What if our ultimate destiny lies not in invention, but in remembering a profound truth we've long since lost?